Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and welcome to my DFS preview for the 2022 WGC match play. This week is a weird one. A lot of things can just be thrown out the window because it's match play. However, we're still going to follow the sweet spot process because we want to go over the pieces required to find the optimal lineup this week. And we're going to do that by, as usual, talking about the golf course, talking about the tournament, although probably not as in-depth. We'll spend more time talking about match play and basically the strategy you want to deploy this week when building lineups. But then we're going to dive right into the buckets because that's going to give us our best opportunity to find the optimal lineup. And I did alter it to accommodate the match play stuff. So we'll get there. I'll talk about it once we get there. Before we do any of that, though, I want to remind you guys there are giveaways that I like to do every single week. And we're going to actually start with the optimizer I have this week. Kind of already said it in that little intro. There is a strategy that you want to deploy this week. We might as well just talk about it right now. If we go to the bracket, which is going to be a part of the optimizer, you'll have this information. You basically want to get all 6 of your golfers into the quarterfinal. So these little red boxes that I have highlighted, you want to get at least 6 of your golfers here because this is going to give you your best opportunity to find to hit the optimal lineup this week. And also to win a GPP. Now, it's not absolutely necessary, and I'm going to cover that when we go over past optimal lineups. Forgot to mention that in the intro. It's not absolutely necessary, and I will show you a path that you can go down to still win a GPP. But if you're chasing the optimal like I am, you want to get all 6 of your golfers within these red boxes, the quarterfinals. Move them to the quarterfinals. So you could hand build lineups. You could just eyeball this and just know, when you follow the path from the red box up to here, you just want one golfer from this group. So you can choose between the 8 golfers you see here and kind of just plug and place them in as you see, it unfolding in this event. Or, instead of doing that, 8 times or whatever it is, you could just use the optimizer because I actually have this written in to the conditions. So I have your group numbers here and your quadrant numbers. And I know I do mine a little different. Like John Rahm is actually technically a part of group 1. And I think Brooks Koepka is part of group 16. But I want to put them all as group 1 because I know I just want to pick one golfer from this group, from the 8 golfers you see. Because that's the only way I'm going to hit the optimal lineup. So that is exactly why in my optimizer, I have groups and then quadrants. Now, I have conditions written down here that you don't want more than one golfer from a group in your lineup. And again, that's to avoid, well, it's not so much to avoid. It's to ensure that you have the best path to the optimal lineup as possible. I do have quadrants here as well, meaning you don't want more than 2 golfers. I think that's self-explanatory. Again, if we went back to the bracket, you're going to see, this red box here. Well, here's group 2 and here's group 1. And this is quadrant 1. You don't want more than 2 golfers. You can't have more than 2 golfers in this box. So that's why I have it set there. Again, I'm going to talk about something a little different once we get to past optimal lineups that is going to actually prove this kind of a little bit wrong. But we're chasing the optimal. Remember, we're chasing the optimal. So anyways, that's all written in here. And then I also have everything else in this. I call this the conditional box. Everything that you see in this gray box. This includes the buckets. This includes the salaries. And of course, obviously I have the group and the quad numbers in there as well. If you don't care for the buckets, that's easy. It's an easy fix. You just change all of these in the min to 0 and all of these to in the max to 6. And then it won't even look at those buckets. It'll just look at your group numbers, and then you just change the metric based off of who you like the most. I have a video that explains how to use these optimizers. So if you are interested in this optimizer, you first need to be subscribed. There's no excuse that you're not subscribed if you're asking for this optimizer. So be subscribed and then give me your favorite golfer that you're going to be anchoring your lineups with this week. And then unfortunately, you are going to have to reach out to me at SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com, because even if you comment on this YouTube video, if I click on your name, chances are you're not sharing your email address on your YouTube page, so I can't contact you. You're going to have to contact me. Just say, hey, I'm interested in this optimizer, and I'm going to send it your way, and I'm going to send you the how to use it video as well. Super easy, super simple, and it's just going to make lineup building much easier. And you get a lot of things that come with this optimizer. You will see that in the video. The second thing that I'm giving away is the SweetSpot cheat sheet, which there's a link in the description below. You just either copy that and paste it in your browser, or you click on the link. That'll get you straight to this page where I'm sharing my dream sheet, which is just a cheat sheet. The bracket, so you can have your own eyes on a bracket, and then the bucket system, which just gives you all the frequencies of finishes within these buckets. Again, we'll talk about this, so if you're unfamiliar with it, kind of do a little refresher once we get there. But yeah, this is just, if you don't have Microsoft Excel, because you're going to need that for the optimizer, if you don't have that, you can just go here, because this is online. Google Sheets. Anyone with a Google account can access this. Super simple. So that is free. There's nothing that is required from you to do for this one. So that kind of covers the spreadsheet stuff for the giveaways that I'm doing. If you want a chance to win $30 this week, I like to reward my subscribers. If you subscribe and you participate with the channel, I want to give you the greatest chance to win money, just as a thank you from me. What I'm going to do going forward is I'm going to put a lofty goal on the screen. You can see my goal is to get to 350 subscribers. We are currently at 320. So that means I need to hit 30 subscribers for me to hit that goal. 30 new subscribers. I think I can, because half of my audience is not subscribed to my channel. So if I have 100 views, I think I can get at least 50 just from that. And that's kind of what I've been averaging with these preview videos. So if we can get 50 new or 30 new subscribers, I don't even need 50. We just need 30 new subscribers. I'm going to give away $30 this week. If we don't hit that goal, I'm going to reduce it $5 for next week. So it'll be a $25 giveaway next week. I'm going to keep doing that until we hit $10. And once we get down to 10, I'm just going to give it away that week for whoever participated from this moment all the way until then. So if you want a chance to win $30, let's see 30 new subscribers. That is the subscriber giveaway. I have a prize picks giveaway as well. There's a link in the description that'll get you straight to the sign up page on prize picks. And if you sign up using the promo code SweetSpot and put at least $20 in your account, I'm going to give you $20. It's more than anybody else in the industry is doing. They are typically just giving you a deposit match up to $100. I too am giving you that deposit match as well. But I'm also adding $20 to the pot. So if you haven't yet signed up on prize picks, again, link in the description, use the promo code SweetSpot, put $20 in your account, and I will give you 20 bucks. All right, those are all the giveaways. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about this tournament. I'm gonna go to the course page here and just talk about the tournament in the golf course. I don't have a tournament page like I typically do in my previews, primarily because I don't want to spend a lot of time here. The golf course, Austin Country Club. This was designed by Pete Dye. You can see it's 7,100 yards. Really, no shot shape matters at this golf course. I don't think you really need to hit much of a shot shape, and it's match play. So no matter what the hole shows or what the hole says, you're playing against the player next to you, and you're playing that same hole. If you hit it in the trees, he hits it in the trees, it doesn't matter what it says on the screen. Whoever gets it in the hole in the fewest times is going to win that hole. I know that's very John Madden-like, but the fact of the matter remains, a lot of the times it does not matter course fit for this golf course or anything like that. It's just how you play every single hole. And each hole I don't want to call it a sudden death type of situation, but it kind of is. You are playing to win a hole. You're not playing to get a score. So it doesn't really matter how well someone plays, because if you match up with somebody who also isn't a very good course fit for this golf course, you guys are kind of on an even playing field. So it's hard to, I'm going to use the funny, I think this is a funny word when people say this. I understand why it's used, but I think it's kind of silly for some of the people out there that use it. To quantify, I know it's hard to quantify, you know, course fit and stuff like that when it comes to these players. I think you can just let it go. You know, there's 64 golfers in this field, and then there's no cut, but there is kind of a cut. It's sudden death. Like, let me explain it a little bit further. There isn't really anything else I have to talk about the golf course. You can kind of see the information here. But when you go into this bracket, Jon Rahm, Patrick Reed, Cameron Young, and Sebastian Munoz are in what is called a pod. Now, Jon Rahm, as long as there's no withdrawals either from him or the players in his pod, he will play each one of these guys once. He'll get a win, or he'll get a point if he gets a win in the match. If they have a match, he'll get 0.5 points, half a point. And if he loses, he gets 0. The golfer with the most points from the pod will move on to the next round. And sometimes they do tie after they're done playing, which then they would go to a sudden death playoff. So they, you know, let's say Jon Rahm scores 2 points in this pod, and so does Cameron Young. They would go to a sudden death playoff, which they'll play one hole at a time. And if someone beats the other guy, they then will go to the next round. And with that, you can imagine, like, well, I should say this. I have DK points up right now. This is what's going to determine you winning a GPP versus not. The points on here are insane because you can score a ton of points. And I'll actually echo this into pass opt. Actually, hold on. Let me double check here. Do I want to get here just yet? Yeah, that's fine. This will just mesh right into pass optimal lineups. Let's say Jon Rahm plays Sebastian Munoz because they were in that pod together, and Jon Rahm just smokes him. He wins 10 holes. Therefore, because he's past that halfway mark, there's no more holes that Sebastian Munoz can play to either tie the match or to win the match. So Jon Rahm wins right there. There's no point in playing more holes that we've already determined a winner. So Jon Rahm still had 8 more holes left to play. You would multiply this number here plus 1.6 points by 8, and that's the bonus points he gets for holes not played. Now you can see how much he'd get for a match 1, so you just add that to the mix. No holes lost bonus, he will get that bonus as well. Streak of 3 consecutive holes, max 1 per round, so he'll get this bonus as well. So if you just add those up, 5 plus 7, that's 12. 12 plus another 5, that's 17. And then it's 8 times this number, which is pretty darn close to, let's just call it 14. I'm not going to do the math. Well, now that I say that, I kind of want to do it. So he's going to get like 13 points, almost 14 points from just that. So we had 17 plus 13, we'll call that 30. And then he's getting all these points at another 27. He'll get 57 points roughly just for doing what I said. Winning 10 holes in a row, leaving 8 holes on the table. That leads to a lot of points, which, why don't we just go ahead and go right into pass optimal lineups? I'm actually going to start with 2021 because it's the only time I have DraftKings points. I don't have them for 2019 and I don't have them for 2018. But for 2021, Billy Horschel scored 172 points and he won the tournament. He did not have the most points that week. Matt Kuchar did at 175.8. Now, you can see the top 4 scored the most points. They played the most matches. They played 1 additional match more than Jon Rahm, Sergio, Tommy Fleetwood. Actually, is that even true? They played 2 more matches than those guys. So that's why they ended up getting that many more points. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. You can see Tommy Fleetwood and Brian Harmon make up this optimal lineup. By the way, the optimal lineups are all the golfers here with the black tick marks. So it's Brian Harmon, Tommy Fleetwood, Victor Perez, Kuchar, Scheffler, and Billy Horschel. They were in the optimal lineup. But if you look at the GPP winning lineup, the $5 GPP winning lineup, that had Billy Horschel, Scotty Scheffler, Victor Perez, John Rahm, Sergio, Jordan Spieth, but we're missing... Oh no, those are your 6 golfers right there. This only scored 812.1 points. 812. The optimal lineup, by the way, scored 921 points. I have that information right here too. 812, 921. I created a realistic optimal that got you closer to $50,000 using up your salary, because you can see that the optimal lineup left a ton of money on the table. Like, that's really hard to get to. But if you wanted to get close to 50,000, you could have just left $400 on the table and you would have scored 859.5 points. That was 40 points over that GPP winning lineup. And kind of what I was saying with the brackets, you want to get 6 of your golfers to these little red boxes here. You want to get them to the quarterfinals. So this is your best chance to hit the optimal lineup. You don't need to, though, because if we go and we look at that past, just the 2021 sheet here, let me hide this. You can see Bubba Watson scored 103 points. You also can see Dylan Fratelli scored 103 points. Now, 9th place, if we go back to the brackets, anyone who makes it to the quarterfinals, this is your top 8. Whoever loses in the quarterfinals just gets 5th place. It's a tie for 5th. There's no way to determine whoever gets here. Like, if this is a guy that loses, and so is this guy right here, there's no way to determining who got, 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th place. I mean, you could do it by DraftKings points, but they just lose. They don't go any further to determine 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Whoever loses in this round is technically in 5th place. Anyone who loses in the round of 16 is technically in 9th place, because obviously 8 golfers move on. All the losers are in 9th place. So if you were to take a look, wrong page. Kuchar scored, Dylan Fratelli scored 103 points. Bubba Watson scored 103 points. They scored more than Spieth. But guess what? You could actually pair these guys up with a Jordan Spieth, and then these 3 guys at the top, this scores 822.9 points. 822.9. If you recall, the GPP winner scored 812. So we're scoring 10 more points, and we're grabbing 3 people from the round of 16. 3 people from the round of 16 to go along with some of these guys that were finished in the top 3rd or the top 3. So what would that look like if we mapped it out? Like, this is a possibility that could have happened. So, like I said, 3 players did not make it out of the round of 16, meaning you could literally create a lineup like this. John Rahm. Let's say we like Eric Van Rooyen. Put him there. We could also grab Bryson DeChambeau from this lineup. Yeah, we could do this. And then we can come down. Let's see. Maybe it'd be best, because we probably want like something like this to happen. Because we still need 3 golfers to actually make the top 3. So Bryson wouldn't, if we had something like this. So yeah, then we would want golfers from the other quadrants. But you could literally have these 3 golfers on your team. John Rahm could make it to the next level. And even this isn't exactly how that last one should appear, but this would work. You could literally have 3 golfers from the same quadrant and win a GPP. Because again, we go back to the 2021 page, we had 3 golfers in 9th place. Again, meaning they didn't leave the round of 16. And the only way that this can happen is if they just like play really well in their pods and they get most of their points from their pods. Again, DraftKings scoring depends on, like, you know, if they get a streak, if they, you know, win a match with no holes lost, you know, how many holes did they not play? How many holes did they win? All of those add up, and we just went over it. You can get up to 50 points if, you know, if you just really steamroll somebody. So keep all of that in mind. You can still win a GPP on DraftKings if you do select 3 golfers from the same quadrant. Now, you can't hit the optimal lineup, and that's what we're all about here. So I'm not I'm not advising you to build lineups that way. It's just easier to do it this way. But yeah, that's kind of the short story of it. I can finish the rest of the optimal lineups just to show you the salary builds that past optimal lineups had. You had 2 9Ks, 2 8Ks, a 7, and a 6 in 2019. And in 2018, you had an 11K, 2 8Ks, 2 7s, and a 6. So it looks like you want a 7, you want a 6, you also want an 8K. Guess we didn't have that in 2021. 2021, we had 2 7s, 6, 6, or so we had 4 7s. But that realistic lineup had a 10, 9, 7, 7, 7, 6. So a 7 to 6, that's the only thing that's really the only thing we can talk about that would actually work out. So yeah, those are your past optimal lineups. That's kind of your strategy when it comes to the match play. Let's dive into the buckets. So if you're not aware, what the buckets do is it just captures top performances. Actually, it just captures like whatever performance I'm looking at that week. So I'm looking for top 10s. Whoever top 10s at this tournament, I'm capturing all their stats leading into the tournament, putting them all into this table, and then trying to determine with the field that we have this week, their stats and how it compares against historical stats, which golfers do we want to select? That's basically what this helps me determine. So to like break it down a little bit more, we can look at one bucket. So we can just look at the last year bucket. I have six buckets per stat. I have 6 stats. So let me actually open this back up. I know that's confusing, but I have last year as one of my stat categories, last week, course history, recent form, salaries, and strokes gained stats. And I'll get to each one of these when we get there. So there's 6 of them, and within each of those 6, there are 6 buckets. And it really depends on the tournament that I select the range. I shouldn't even say it that way. It's typically the same for each tournament, but when it comes to match play, I had to make some alterations. I usually like to go by like every 20th place, like every 20th finish, or the ranges I like to typically use is like 1 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80, 80 plus. So by every 20 place increments is what I usually like to go with. Match play is a little different. There's only 64 golfers in this field. And you can, as I kind of already described in the past segments that we talked about, you know, not making it out of the round of 16, you tie for 9th place. Not making it out of the round of 8, the Elite 8, you automatically get 5th place. And then obviously 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are determined by going to the championship round and also the 3rd place. Maybe that you call that the consolation champion. I don't know. But anyways, that's how I have it broken up. We have 1 to 4 place, 5th place, 9th place, 17th to 32nd. This is just golfers that played well in their pods but didn't make it out of their pods. And then 32 plus are just your dead last golfers in each of the pods, basically. And of course, we have did not plays. That is a bucket. We want to track golfers that are coming into this tournament who hadn't played it the year before. That's what this is looking at, to see how well they do. Now, this could include golfers that have no course history, they're first timers at match play. Could also include rookies on the tour. They fall under that same thing I just said. So you can see how many times we have these types of golfers in the field. That's what you see by the average per year under bucket totals. And then we can see how many we have this year. And then I like to add the strength of field numbers that are being carried by golfers in those buckets. So you can see just in this last year one bucket, there are only 2 golfers in it, and they combined to make 37 points out of the strength of field. The strength of field this week is 723, by the way. And then I break it down by percentage. Like, what is this number, combined or compared to the rest of the numbers in that strength of field? It's 5%. So all of these numbers included with the success rate goes into the projections, and the projections are based off of how many golfers this week and how well that bucket performs every single year. So this maximum projection will always equal 10. And I will say this, you always round up in this number. I just like giving you the raw number so you can see, how close it is to actually rounding up. Or if it's not even close to rounding up, I want you guys to see how far away it is. But again, we always round up. It could be 0.01 and we round up to 1. So this bucket would read, you want somewhere between 0 to 1 golfers who top forward this tournament last year. I mean, we only have Billy Horschel in this event, and we have Scotty Scheffler. Those are your only 2 golfers in that bucket. It's not looking great that they repeat their performance, but it's not saying it's not possible. But I'm also saying don't play them both. We only have one that's in the optimal lineup. We've only seen a max of 1, I should say. And likewise, we've only seen a max inside the top 5. So perhaps we don't select both Scheffler and Horschel. And that's like the first decision that the bucket system has helped us make. So that's why I like the bucket system, is it's identifying these types of plays that we should stay away from. So Scheffler with Horschel, don't do it. It was good last year. I wouldn't do it this year. And then you can see the rest of them. I'm not going to talk about all the other buckets that are here. We already kind of described them. You can see the maximum and minimum projections, so it should help you out in determining, where you want to find your golfers from. If we move to the last week, this is just basically golfers who played at the Valspar Championship, and that's it. I don't look at European events. I don't look at Korn Ferry events. I know we wouldn't have a Korn Ferry golfer here, but I just want you guys to understand it's only golfers that are playing at the Valspar. And you can see we have 23 golfers in the field that did play in the Valspar, and these would be their finishing places that they had at the Valspar. So top 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80, a missed cut. That's what 80 plus means, or a withdraw, but we didn't have any withdrawals last week. Or how about golfers that did not play? You can see the success rates for each of those buckets. This goes all the way back to 2013, at this match play event. So you can see, playing the week before doesn't matter. And of course, I'm also including the strength of field. So you have buckets like those who finished 40th to 60th place. Not very good. But of course, we only have 2 golfers in that bucket. Strength of field's really bad. That's being represented in that bucket. So you probably just want to stay away from those guys. And I don't know what those guys are off the top of my head, but obviously you can look at that stuff in DraftKings. You can do it on any of your sites that you use for research. It's all there for you guys. So probably stay away from that group. And another one, maybe the 20 to 40s from last week. But you are getting closer to that one number, which is pretty good. You can see that there's 100% frequency with this bucket, meaning there's at least one inside the top 10 every single year. But then if you want to look at optimal lineups, or even if you want to look at like top 5 frequencies, not very good. So I like to look at the ones that have a maximum over 1 and probably just select from there. And the biggest bucket are golfers who did not play. But I mean, look at the strength of field that's being represented. You have Jon Rahm in this bucket. You have a lot of good golfers in this bucket. I already forgot which ones you do. Jon Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Patrick Cantlay, Daniel Berger, Bryson DeChambeau, Jordan Spieth. So you have a lot of golfers, a lot of good golfers that are being represented in that bucket. Oh yeah, Paul Casey withdrew. Forgot. He did not play. He withdrew before the tournament. He didn't play. But anyways, good bucket to select golfers from. You could actually select all six of your golfers from this bucket. So then your pool is going to be a little smaller. You have 41 golfers there, and I'm sure you could probably really take out, you know, the riffraff that's at the bottom of that and have even a smaller pool to select golfers from. So yeah, it wouldn't be a bad one. You can see it has had up to a max of 6 in the optimal lineup. I don't know if it happens again, but it's possible. Let's go ahead and let's look at the other buckets. Course history is very similar to the last year bucket. You can almost think of it this way. The last year bucket is your most recent course history. So it's like a recent form course history bucket. I do have the ranges just slightly different. I have 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, and then 20 plus. I won't lie, when I was doing this, I was thinking maybe I should change the numbers a little bit differently, but there's really no easy way to do this. I think last year, all I looked at was last year buckets and recent form buckets, because trying to come up with ranges for course history and last year buckets were a bit difficult. But we're going to try this here. We're going to see how this works out. Of course, I track the strength of field. Like, I apply that to the projections. You can see how some of these work out. And of course, this is included in the cheat sheet that I have in the description. Again, link in the description. Your best buckets are really that 15 to 20 range, the 20 plus range, you know, and it's pretty easy to get into that range because of not making it over the pods and stuff like that. You can get 61st or 61st place. So I don't want to put, you know, every 20s. I don't want to put every 15s, because then you're just also going to get weird buckets that way. I do like it this way, but we'll just see. We'll see afterwards. I mean, the bucket isn't like over 6, you know, for the projection. So that's a good thing. When it does get a little top heavy, that's when I'll probably change it. Like if this gets over 6 and maybe this is a 3 and this is a 6 and the rest of them are zeros, that's probably when I'll change it. But there aren't a lot of golfers in these buckets, so I don't know. I'll look into it. This will be a good trial year to see how well the course history buckets do. I really don't have any of the minimum set in the optimizer, and I'm probably not going to use that. But anyways, you can see, you know, you can look at your maxes. You know, this would be a good bucket to, you know, choose your maxes from. You're not really going to get that with this course history bucket, the 20 pluses, because you can get up to 6, and you want at least 3. So, I mean, you can limit your field a little bit, so you can exclude 32 golfers if you just chose this bucket, which isn't terrible. But, you know, optimal lineup has only produced 1 golfer from that bucket. Top 5 frequencies, not very good either. Or 4 was your max, so it's okay. And then we can look at the recent form buckets. Actually, we still have 2 more after this one. I'm not really going to talk about, this is very similar to your last week buckets, goes by every 20 point or every 20th percentile or what, I don't even know what you would call it, every 20th place. It's just your averages over the last 7 weeks, the last 7 tournaments, I should say. So if they're in this top 20 range, that means they have really good recent form. And you can see the projections that I have, how many are in the field versus how, you know, on average, how many there are. And again, projections. This is what's important. Your best projected one would be that 20 to 40 range. So coming into this tournament with good recent form is a good thing. Your top 3 buckets, basically, you want good recent form. So I'm not going to spend any more time there. You guys can determine how you feel about that. We already talked about salaries to some extent, but you can see the projections here. Looks like you want a 10K golfer in your lineup. That's kind of a no-brainer. There are 7 in the field this week. We usually just see 6. So high strength of field, high frequency rate, high success rate. We've seen a max of 1 to 2 inside the top 10. Seen a max of 1 in the optimal lineup as well as in the top 5. So yeah, 10K, not terrible to start there. 9K is not as I'm not that confident. Like the projections don't really rate out that well. Same goes with 8K. Now, here's a rule that I didn't talk about already. If this projection isn't over 2, I automatically put the minimum to 0. So how I read this is it's 0 to 2 8K golfers in my lineup. I don't mind playing an 8K golfer. I'm just not going to play more than 2, and I'm not going to make sure there's always 1 in my lineup. Your 7Ks, though, that seems to be somewhat important to select from. And then your 6Ks, looks like you want to add some of your 6Ks. And I think that's, this is a tournament that really just allows that to happen. And then our last one are the strokes gain buckets. I do strokes gain a little different. I really just look at off the tee and putting. So you can see the stats for these groups here. The positive just means positive off the tee. The negative would be negative. So strokes gain 2 is positive off the tee, positive putting. Strokes gain 3 is positive off the tee, negative putting, and so on and so forth. The stats in between, like your approach stats and your around the green stats, can be anything, because really off the tee is going to dictate approach stats. And if you have a golfer that's good on both of those stats, most likely their strokes gains putting is probably not going to be the greatest, but even if it is good, they're winning golf tournaments. If you have positive stats in those 3 categories, you're either inside the top 10 more often than not, or you're winning golf tournaments. So you can see, that's going to be included with your every stat is positive with this group. And then, of course, I also have no strokes gain. I'm not going to talk more about this. I just go by off the tee and putting. I don't care about approach. I don't care about around the green. I do, but I don't care to put it in my ranges. So you can see how those break out, with our totals here, pretty even for the top 4 buckets. You can also see the averages for those years, the strength of field that's included, and then your projections. Looks like our strokes gain 2s and 3s are where we really want to build our lineups around. And again, it's all positive off the tee. So although it's match play, we probably want to focus more on our heavy hitters off the tee, which makes sense. If you've ever played match play or in just golf tournaments, hitting the ball far does kind of add a little imposing or just intimidation to your opponent. And plus, you get to do things they can't. Especially if you hit the ball further, you get to do things they can't. So that's another good reason why. Positive off the tee doesn't always mean greater driving distances, but if you do hit the ball further, you can be less accurate and still gain off the tee. But if you're a short hitter and you always hit in the fairway, you could also gain off the tee as well. It's possible to do that. So it's not just for long ball hitters. Anyways, you can see all the projections that go with that. I'm not going to talk more about that. That's all I'm going to cover really in this preview video. We'll talk more. We'll strategize and maybe just build some lineups tomorrow. We can go over the sweet spot rank tomorrow. There aren't going to be any marquee tee time pairings because obviously this is all based off of pods and just getting through your pods, playing your matches. There's no real benefit to playing with another golfer who's playing well. That's why we do marquee tee times. It's just going to be a golfer playing against another one. So no marquee tee times tomorrow. We can go over anchor buckets. We can talk about the sweet spot rank, and we can kind of try to craft some ideas on how we want to build. But anyways, we'll leave that to the strategy video, which actually is going to come out, probably within 16 hours of this one. So it's not even going to be a full day. It took me a while to get this one out because of all the things that I had to do to update. And also I wanted to get the cheat sheet already, published for you guys. So obviously it's available, everything that we just talked about. The optimizer, again, if you want this, reach out to me, email me at SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. Again, you're going to have to be subscribed. You have to be subscribed. I'm not giving this away to anyone who is not subscribed. And then give me your favorite golfer in the comment section below. So I'll keep an eye on the comments, and if I have more requests, to for the optimizer, I'm gonna start questioning people through the emails, seeing if you guys are subscribed or not. I know who most of you guys are. Some of you guys I don't know. I did get a couple requests this last week that I wasn't sure if they were subscribed or not, but I gave it away anyways. Subscriber giveaway, $30 on the line. We can get 30 new subscribers. And again, this is gonna diminish by $5 each week. So if we don't get 30 this week, that's okay. The giveaway will be for $25 next week. So don't feel like this is a hard goal to hit, because I know it's easy. And then Prize Picks. If you're not yet signed up, there's a link in the description. Go to the sign up page, put in the promo code SweetSpot when you sign up, and put $20 in your account, and I'm going to give you $20. Prize Picks is going to match your deposit of your 20, so they're going to give you another 20. You'll have 40 in your account, and I'm going to give you your 20 back. So you're going to play Prize Picks for free, and you're going to have $40 in your account. So highly encourage you to do that. I got nothing else. I got to get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.